Oh, look at this hardware, man. A-B-O. Got the Latin American camera. Showing it for the camera. Now
They got some trainers say, and some fighters say, well, I don't watch videos of the guy fighting. I let the coach watch it. Hey, man.
Guys, one thing we know for sure about Wilder, he hit you clean. Right. And this woman whooped the whole world twice. The whole world.
Good morning. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another live episode of Soapboxing Podcast. It's your boy Manny Fresh along with Coach Derek. And we'd like to welcome everyone on YouTube, Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate all the support. D, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest this morning?
Today we got Team USA national coach, former amateur boxer too in the service, huh, Jeff?
Yep.
Jeffery Mays. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, I'm chilling, and when I say chilling, I really mean chilling up here in Colorado Springs.
How cold is it up there?
Well, it was 0 last night. I think it's about 5 or 6 or something like that today.
Oh man, wow. I mean, we're out here in Houston. I think we're gonna get some of that on Monday, but I was talking to Derek before we went live, and I was freezing my butt off yesterday, and it was in the 20s. So I can't imagine what you guys are experiencing out there.
Man, when you walk outside, your face just started hurting.
Are you guys doing a lot of road work?
No, everything is inside. Everything is inside.
I had a cousin, being from New Orleans, bro. I had a cousin when he went to the Navy. This in like the early 90s, and some kind of way he ended up in Chicago. And when he came, first time he came home, he said, "Cuz, let me tell you something, bro. We don't know nothing about no fucking cold, bro." I said, "What?" He said, "Bro, in Chicago, I had to walk backwards, man." I said, "What you mean?" I said, "What you mean, bro?" He went to explain. He said, "Man, your face will freeze up, man." He said, "Bro, that shit is ridiculous, man." I said, "Well, I ain't never been in no real cold, nothing like that. So I don't know nothing about it, man."
Man, that just took me back to when I was in elementary or in high school out there. That's exactly what we would do, man. We'd go into we'd walk out that house, and you have it's the Windy City, so it's not only cold, it's slapping you in the face when you walk in. So that's exactly what we would do. We had to turn around and walk backwards. Sometimes it was that damn cold.
That's insanity, bro. I don't know nothing about it, man. Whose phone's ringing? They gonna knock you off, Jeff, if you don't put the do not disturb on. But yeah, man, we got confused with our time. What? That's West Coast. What time it is up there?
It is almost 10 o'clock here.
It's you got Central Standard.
Mountain time.
Mountain time.
Mountain time. Okay.
That was a lucky guess.
What y'all doing, bro? You back in Colorado? What y'all getting ready for?
We're getting ready for a tournament in Bulgaria, and then once we leave there, we go straight to Spain to compete in another tournament.
Okay. When's the next time you gonna go home, bro?
Man, 7 March. I left on the 25th of January, and I'll be back home 7 March for a little while, and then I leave again at the end of March, going to another training camp.
We've had Mike Campbell on the show about a year or two ago, and from that he came on. He gave us a lot of great information. But one of the things that I took away from him on that interview was when you're dealing with Team USA and you have competition going on, you're required to do a lot of traveling and being away from home a lot, huh?
A lot. And not only am I going a lot with Team USA, excuse me, there are a lot of times I get back from a tournament with Team USA. I'm at home for a week, and then I'm off to a national tournament or some other tournament with my own boxers back in San Antonio.
Oh wow! And so you're based out of San Antonio, Texas.
Yep.
And how long you been with Team USA?
I went on one trip with them in 2015 to Serbia with the youth team, and then I started up full time with them in 2017.
We've had a lot of guests, whether it's female boxers or amateurs that turn pros, and your name has come up a lot during the show. And
Oh,
I was waiting for Derek to get you on the show. I don't know what took so long, but man, it's we're excited to have you on. You've always
Hollywood,
you
motherfucker Hollywood. Every time I ask, man, I ain't got time for you, bro. You would deliver people. I said, damn, I'll try again next week, man. Yeah,
every
man.
every time they say your name, man, it's like an automatic smile comes on their face. They speak highly of you, and I know Derek I've always spoken of you fondly, and so that's not easy to come by. What's the secret, man?
oh man, I love what I do. This is boxing is my passion. It's just I just love what I do, and I love training. I don't consider myself as a coach or a trainer. I consider myself more so as a teacher, and I try to when I'm training the kids or training the boxers, I try to treat them all like they are my kids.
Well, it's definitely reflected in how they see you and revere you and speak of you, man. So congratulations on that. So you have the tournament in Bulgaria, and then from there to Spain. What what do we got? Who should we keep our eye on now? What we got going on with Team USA right now?
Oh man, for both tournaments, I think it's just that's a hard one. It's just you should keep your eye on the whole team
Yeah.
because everyone has potential to get a medal. And with the way they're hitting out their strides in training camp now, I can see us being very successful at both tournaments.
How is Team USA? What's been the history of Team USA boxing? I know it goes back, but what if you had to describe the history in the last, I don't know, let's say 10 years of USA boxing? How would you put it into words for the viewers?
I mean, it's a I don't know. I'm trying to find the right word. Just say good history, but it's a turbulent history.
Hmm.
With boxing, it's just with most other countries in the world, they got one style of boxing. They grow up from 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, boxing one style. But with in the USA, you got the East Coast style, you got the West Coast style, you got the Mexican style. You just got all these different styles, and that's a good thing and it's a bad thing.
That's an interesting statement right there. So does
Bad in which way?
huh?
Bad. You say it's a good thing, a bad thing. I said, what's
Uh,
the bad in which way?
Well, it can be a bad thing sometimes when you get a kid that makes the team for the first time and they go to an international tournament. They're not used to maybe the European style or the Cuban style of boxing, and those kids have grown up in one system. When our
hmm.
kids, a lot of times, their first time coming to camp, it's their first introduction to international style of boxing.
Do
And
we
there's a
have
big learning curve, right?
Yeah, yeah.
do we have a USA, like, so you said, when we're a melting pot, right? And most
Yep.
countries have one specific style of boxing. When they get to the team, does it become a thing like, okay, well, we know this is your style, but now you're going to have to learn Team USA style? Or how does that work? Do you teach each
It's
fighter?
Well, one of the things we try to do, we don't try to take away from what got the fighter to where they're at.
Hmm.
We just try to sharpen up their skills and get them better at, let's say, boxing against, the international style people they're going to have to compete against. Try to give them a heads up on here's what you can expect. But we never try to change anyone's style of boxing. We just try to make it sharper or make it better.
So when you're traveling, and you're fighting these different fighters from different parts of the world, and let's say you're fighting someone from Russia, you sort of have an idea of how they fight, right? Their style of fighting versus someone from, England or someone from Australia. If you're on the flip side of that, right? Let's say you're from Russia, or you're from Australia. How do you approach Team USA? Do you look at them at Team USA and say, shit, they have, we don't know what type of style they have, or is there a particular style?
Well, that's one of the things when I say it's a good and a bad thing. Well, that's one of the good parts of it.
Right.
When they look at somebody from the USA,
They have no clue.
Yep, they can't say, okay, well, they all box this way, because every boxer is different.
That's interesting. I never thought about it like that, man. That's pretty good. What do you think, D?
No, I don't like to share my opinions, man. I get along with everybody. No. I can't imagine. First of all, I would never speak. I would never speak on what it's like to be a trainer on Team USA anyway, because I haven't never been one, and what Jeff just explained to me with his answer to the question sound like a whole lot of fucking work. So to me, it ain't that afraid of work, of course, because I don't care which level. If you're a successful trainer, box, I'll speak to box. I don't know, any other coaching, but if you have any sort of success, you're working hard, right? So by the time you meld all those different kids from different places and try to get them on the same page, man, I can't imagine the frustration. And it seems to me like kids making the team, they would almost have to just agree to listen. This thing I'm fitting to partake in, this represent the country. I gotta just go ahead and conform to what we're doing here. Otherwise, I shouldn't be there, because I mean, how you gonna be successful if all the Team USA has a game plan and you going against the grind the whole time? I mean, how you gonna be successful anyway? But I can't imagine. You know me with my team, with my small team. It's not a motherfucking. Everybody gets to voice their opinion, but it's not a democracy. That's for damn sure. I'm not finna do a fucking thing I don't think is gonna lead us to nothing. So by the time you put all these different guys together and girls and all these different backgrounds in boxing, boxing's such a specific thing, man, that it's such a specific thing that, but there's a million answers for one thing, right? Yep. It's so specific, but Jeff may have a way to attack that issue with a particular fighter he has. Not all of them, just a particular one. How he answers that question. That I may have a whole different answer, but it answers the question. So by the time you put all these kids up in Colorado, man, trying to do that shit, I can't imagine the frustration, the can of worms that could open, man, and it's why some people succeed and some people don't, bro. I don't want nothing to do with being a national coach, bro. I can't imagine. Nah.
Well, it's more frustrating to the boxers than it is to myself, because with the boxers, they've been taught, by that one coach, mostly that one coach their whole career. So by the time they get here, now they got these different coaches and they trying to teach them something, add to their kit bag, trying to add something different to their kit bag so they can be successful. So it's kind of frustrating for them at first. It's like, well, my coach doesn't do it that way. I wasn't taught that way. So once they get that attitude of, okay, well, I'm here to learn, I'm going to learn, I'm just going to add it to what I do, then they're successful. But for myself as a coach, it's not frustrating. I see it as a coaching challenge. I love, like I said, I consider myself a teacher, not a coach or a trainer. So I love teaching. And that moment when that light goes off in that kid's head and they say, oh, now I see what you're talking about. And then they start actually executing it. That's the joy that I get out of it.
Right.
And once an athlete and a boxer gets to that point, and I'm not saying this is always the case, but there has to be a certain set of expectation that as a fighter when he arrives that, hey, I'm on a big stage now. This is Team USA, and so my attitude should be that of I'm here to learn and become better than what I arrived. But I'm sure you'll have those instances where you have, a fighter that doesn't want to conform, I guess, to that process, and that's where the challenge, the frustration for them would be, I assume.
Yeah, it is. But eventually, if they stay on the team long enough, they
They
eventually
understand.
get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they eventually get it. At some point, that light does come on, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I got it. Now I see what you're talking about. And
Right.
sometimes that moment may come, not doing training camp, but when they step in the ring against a Cuban, or when they step in the ring against somebody from Great Britain or a Russian. So when they step in the ring and all the stuff we've been trying to teach them and get them to do, or trying to explain to them that didn't sink in, once they step into the ring, it's like, oh shit, now I see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So the next time they get in there, they come back to camp, it's not as hard to teach. They are more open to it.
Them light bulb moments is what you're looking for, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about your career in the military. 21 years in the U.S. Army.
21 long years.
When
I first went in, I never thought that I would stay 21 years. I only went in, tell you a story. Me and one of my buddies was drunk, and we stopped by a recruiter's office as a joke. And I talked to the recruiter. He was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I like to box. I like to punch people. I like to fight. He said, well, you know what? You could go in the Army and do that, and that would be your only job. I said, shit, what do I sign it? He said, well, come on tomorrow after you sober up a little bit, and you can sign up. And that's how I signed up for the Army.
Get out of here. Wow. So you thought you were going to be boxing for the Army, huh?
Yeah, when I went in, I boxed for the first 3 to 4 years, and then I had a hand injury that stopped me from boxing. And so, growing up in Mississippi, I'm originally from Mississippi. We had a bunch of hogs and lived out in the country. So when it came time for me to re-enlist, I said, well, look, I can go back to small town Mississippi to the hogs, or I can stay in the Army and keep seeing the world. Man, that's an easy decision.
Huh. And when you enlisted, what was your MOS?
Communication.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
What the fuck do that mean? What MOS mean?
Your job title.
Yep, military operations specialist or military operations specialist, some shit like that.
Why you couldn't ask a motherfucker what his job was, man? Y'all always trying to leave me in the dust, man. Nah, I'm just picking. You, Jeff, you boxed prior to the to joining?
Yep, after I graduated from high school, I ended up going to Job Corps because I didn't know what else I wanted to do. Went to Job Corps and got into a fight up there, and just so happened the boxing coach for the Job Corps place that I was at, he saw me. He said, well,
right,
you got some pretty good hands there. You want to learn how to box? I said, shit, yeah, I learned how to punch people. So I had fights before I joined the Army, and I fell in love with it. But back home in Mississippi, there was nowhere to, in my hometown, there was no boxing gyms, nowhere to box.
Right.
And how did your love for boxing come about?
Just watching it on TV, watching Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran, some of my
Fabulous Four.
Yeah, oh yeah. Watching those guys box, I just kept saying, I want to do that.
Let's get before we go any deeper. Let's get your rank those four for us.
Woo!
Yeah, buddy.
I would say Leonard.
I'm with you.
Then it would be Hearns or Hagler. I would say Hearns. Then it's hard between Hagler and Duran. If I had to, I would just say all four of them are good across the board.
And they are 1,000%. But I think I'm with you. I got Sugar Ray number 1, Hearns number 2, Hagler 3, Duran 4.
Yeah. That would be a safe bet.
Yeah. D, go ahead.
Oh,
Derek will probably Derek would probably reverse that. He'd be. I could tell you, Derek's is. I tell you, Derek's is Duran number 1, Hearns number 2, Hagler number 3, and no. Duran number 3. Duran number 1, Tommy Hearns
You
number 2.
having a hard time with these 4 fucking people, man.
Well, I'm picking yours.
Listen. When it comes to those 4 guys, I don't put my personal opinions in there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what. Listen, Tommy Hearns was my idol, but he's not number 1. Roberto Duran, Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, and Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
But by the time you go to Roberto Duran is the greatest lightweight ever. So comparing the greatest lightweight ever to say a Marvin Hagler, arguably one of the greatest middleweights ever, if not what is it, 1, 2, or 3? So it's hard to do. But as far as domination and what he's achieved, Roberto Duran is only second to fucking Ray Robinson, bro. So when you say those 4 people, it is what it is. But when you start looking at, he fought Tommy at about junior middleweight or some shit. Yeah. He never was knocked out before that, never was knocked out after that, even in his fucking 5th decade as a fighter. So it's kind of unfair to rank them. So I just rank them like pound for pound, how they would be. And, if it was up to me, Ray Leonard wouldn't even be on the fucking list. But I'm going to tell you the truth. That motherfucker's great. Hey, yesterday my cousin called me, right? From the boxing side of the family. He goes, cuz. He said, man, fucking Ray Leonard, man, was great, huh? I said, yeah. He goes, I was showing my son, man, I was like, I remember when I was a kid thinking he was such a great boxer, but he wasn't no finisher. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, I was wrong his 2 left shoes. He said, man, fucking Ray Leonard. I said, yeah, fucking Ray Leonard, man. That motherfucker was special, bro. God damn, he was special, man. But so we did like that 8-pound, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, did the best of all of them. And I would say, I think we both agreed at welterweight, who you gonna put over Ray Leonard, bro? You really can't. If he ain't the best welterweight ever do it, who the fuck is? You know what I'm saying? That dude was great, bro. And I think I settled down in the older I get, I'm settling into accepting the fact that I gotta like this motherfucker, man. But he crushed me as a kid, man. He crushed me as a kid.
That was a great era to watch boxing, man, and a great time to follow boxing.
Because you can name about 5 more motherfuckers under those 4 that belong up there with him. So, they get the notoriety, but by the time you talk about the Benitez and all those other guys, they right there with him, right there at the top too. Man, yeah, it was a hell of a time to grow up in the, Jeff's a little older than me, but I experienced all them 80s boxers, all that heyday of boxing, man. I think the biggest fight that sticks out in my mind to show you my age about when I was able to comprehend the magnitude of fights. Man, for some reason, that Jerry Cooney and Larry Holmes fight, that was a huge fucking fight, man, in my world, like everybody was talking about it. And I was young. So when I look back on it and I see like how Cooney was coming up and what he did in the Golden Gloves in New York and how he was destroying guys and shit, it's a compelling fight. And he got clipped early, I think, with Larry, but he was in that fight up until he just gassed out. But that was a huge fight. Do you remember that, Jeff? Was that a big thing?
Yep, that was a big fight. That was a big
fight, man. That was a huge fight, and not even to the racial undertones was there. I don't think I didn't think Cooney necessarily wanted to be in that situation, but he was thrust into the shit. And hell, that man got a drinking problem and everything after that, man. That was some pressure, I'd imagine, bro. But I remember that being a huge fight in my world, man, with my dad and my uncles and shit. That was a big fight because Jerry Cooney was the question mark, right? He was blowing through boys, like knocking boys slap out, King Norton, all them guys. He was knocking them dudes in the next week. And Larry, everybody knew how great Larry Holmes was, but nobody liked it. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's a watered down Ali and ain't fighting nobody. You know, weak division.
Yeah.
But I mean, in hindsight, we all know better than that. But the thing is, man, that was a hell of a. I remember how huge that was. And then I would say, who else was on my radar back then? You know who was a big guy when I was a kid? Ray Mancini, bro. That was a big old
Mancini.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, he was a big deal. And he put up a hell of a fight against Alexis, but you know, he was in over his head, I think. So who did you watch? Who did you watch, Jeff, growing up?
All the fights that came on TV, and that was the 80s was a good time for boxing because everything was free and they played it on TV, so everybody got a chance to watch it.
I remember being at the barbershop as a kid, man. Like on a Saturday, and fucking ABC boxing was on. You in the barbershop watching the fights, man.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a different era, man, completely.
Oh yeah.
So how did you actually find yourself in a boxing gym? How did that work out?
Well, that's why I told you.
Job Corps?
I was in Job Corps and got into a fight up there. And the boxing coach for the facility I was at, he just happened to see me fight, and he told me, "Well, look, you got some good hands there. You got a good solid punch. Come on up and learn how to box." I'm sure I learned how to punch people in the face.
That story almost mimics Big George, Jeff.
Yep.
He never fought. I don't think that's where he learned to fight, right? Job Corps.
Yep.
That was a good thing. Shit.
Yeah, I had about 5 fights up there, and my first fight, I ended up knocking a dude out in the first round. So that was a good thing, but that was like a bad thing. And the way I mean it was a bad thing, got back to the
Thought you was gonna do it every time.
Oh yeah, dude. I didn't train. I half-ass trained.
I got this.
I don't need to do that. I'm a knockout fight. I'm knocking everybody out in the first round. So what do I need to train that hard for? Got to my next fight about 3 weeks later. A dude got in there the first round, gave the guy everything I had. He was still standing.
He came to fight.
Oh yeah. I came back to the corner after the first round. I said, "Coach, this motherfucker ain't going down."
What about this shit, Coach?
He said, "Well, I tried to tell you, my chest was burning. I felt bad, couldn't feel my legs, couldn't feel my arms." I said, "Coach, you got to stop it." I couldn't knock him out. He said, "I'm not stopping shit." He said, "You got two choices. You can quit or you can go back in there and fight." I didn't want to quit because then I would have to go back to the Job Corps Center and tell everybody that I quit. So I went back in there and I got beat on for that whole round. When I started out good, that first 30 seconds, went back to beating on him, ran out of gas. He started beating on me. And back then, in the late 80s, they wasn't giving out 8 counts like they give them out now. I probably should have had a few of them in that. That fight probably should have been stopped in the second round. So he beat me some more that second round. I went back to the corner. I said, "Coach, I'm not feeling good. But I want to throw up." He said, "Well, fucking throw up in the bucket. I'm not stopping this fight." I said, "Coach, you got to stop it. I think I'm going to die." He said, "You either quit or you go back out there and fight or you die while you fight." I said, "Well, fuck it. I'm not going to quit."
He was letting you learn about you.
Yes. Went back out there and the first 30 seconds, I beat on the guy. The next 2.5 minutes, he beat on me. I never lost another fight because I got tired. Never. That experience stayed with me forever.
That's why he wouldn't stop it.
Yep.
You're a real southpaw, Jeff?
No, I'm actually a right-hander.
Okay.
The way my first coach was, he told me, "Well, fight how you, first he tried to get me to fight orthodox. But something kept telling me, like, this don't seem right. If I'm going to throw my lead hand more, why would I have my weak hand in the front?"
Right.
He was just like, "Well, that's the way boxing is. You want your power hand in the back so you get more rotation on." I said, "Well, this don't make sense to me." He said, "Well, you know what? Fuck it. Get in the stance you want to get in." So when I was in a southpaw stance, it felt better. So I could keep throwing my jab, throwing my hooks, throwing my right uppercuts. That felt more comfortable to me. So, doing most of my time fighting, most guys kept going away from my left hand, but they was walking into my power.
I get it. It's a funny thing. Like, I don't know much about other martial arts other than boxing. I wouldn't say I'm a student of it or nothing, but I've seen more than several, like the karate guys and you know, uh, all those they teach them like that, like to line up dominant hand first. I wonder if that was the thinking behind that. I don't get it. Of course, I understand why we do it normally, but if a trainer and a guy ain't trying to win, if you better at that way, well then let's do it that way then. However, it's still a correct way and an incorrect way to fight southpaw or not. And rather whatever hand dominant you are. I mean, I think Marvin Hagler's right-handed, ain't he?
Yep.
For real.
Yep.
It's a whole bunch of southpaws that's really right-handed, just like there's a bunch of conventional fighters that's left-handed. Like
it didn't make sense to me to try to sit there and wait to catch you with a right hand when I could just beat you up with my lead hand.
You're just gonna use it, yeah. I think Michael Moore's really right-handed too.
Now, do you use that same philosophy with fighters today? Do you give them that option?
I just give them the option. I always ask them, are you right-handed or left-handed? And then I put them in a right-handed stance. And after we go over the footwork, because with my boxers, the new ones, you don't throw no punches in the gym for like the first week or two. We're working on footwork. We're getting you in shape. You're not hitting nothing. If anything, you may hit the speed bag to get that hand-eye coordination, but you're not punching no bags. You're not punching no mitts. You're not doing nothing. So after that, then we go into, let's work on the jab. Once you get the jab down, then we're going to go into the 1-2. And after that, I ask you, well, how does that feel? They still new to it, but you can still get that one boxer that say, well, this don't feel right to me. It don't make sense to me. Okay, well, switch it up.
I've came across one situation that it was the first time this ever happened. So I got this little amateur man, and he came to the gym, and I, kids don't know no better, right? They don't know why you fight a certain way or whatever. So I normally chuck something at them and watch how they catch it and throw it back to me. You know what I'm saying? And then then we go into lessons and shit. But this little fucker, man, I said I was training him, and I said, man, you a weird motherfucker, man. I couldn't get it, man. He said, what you mean, coach? And I said, well, you're right-handed, huh? He said, no. I said, what? He said, no. I write with my left hand. I said, well, motherfucker, I chucked something, man. and he threw it back with the right. He said, well, I throw a football with my right hand. I said, what? So I gave him a ball, and sure enough, he threw that bitch with his right hand. Accurate. I said, well, how the fuck you right with this? I said, well, you ass backwards, man. And so we chose he's fighting conventional, but he's actually, on his angles, when he steps different ways, he actually can, I guess because he's ambidextrous, right? Yeah. That's what he is. He's real even-handed.
What? You using these big words now? What?
Ambidextrous, man. I'm educated. I just talk New Orleans. I talk New Orleans, so y'all think I don't understand. I knew what that MOS shit was. I was fucking with you. No, I'm talking about danger. Danger's ambidextrous. He throws with one hand, he writes with the other hand, and it's really like it seems to be a kind of a advantage. He understands where he needs to be on certain sides more so than when you're teaching somebody. Is
that why he keeps punching me in the face like that?
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I'm curious, man. I want to know what it was like when you were in the service and in your boxing career. I want to know two things about the service. I want to know a little about your boxing career in the service, but I'm really interested. There's a connection with you and West Point, correct?
Yes. I was stationed at West Point as a tactical NCO, which is each company of cadets. They have a major and a sergeant first class that's in charge of that company. So it's like mentors and guide them along. So that was might as well say that was my secondary job, because once I started being the assistant head coach up there, being the assistant head coach was like my primary job. Anytime they had like field training or some other training going on, if I had boxing practice or a trip to go on, that's where I went to. So we won when I got there. I think West Point, I think the highest they finished was like second or third place at the Collegiate National Championships. And I think from 2008 to 2011, we won 4 national championships.
Now West Point, that's a very elite school, let alone, but they also have a very deep history in boxing, correct?
Yes, every cadet, every male cadet up there has to take boxing. They have to take a
Wow.
boxing class.
Wow.
So when I first got there, we had I think it was like 24 authos, which is authorizations for people to be on the team. And
Wow.
after we won our first national championship, the commander general said, "Hey, look, what do you need to be successful?" So the head coach told him, "I need more authorizations." So we went from 24 people on the team to 60 people on the team.
Wow.
And that's a lot for 2 coaches to deal with.
Yeah, you ain't shit.
And
You ain't shit.
the tryouts were crazy. We went from, I think it was like 140, 150 kids that would come out and try out for the team. So we have to try to sort through all of that to try to pick, okay, these are our 60 boxers that we're going to have on the team. And out of that 60, you know, you're going to have about, I don't know, about 20 or so that's going to actually compete. And out of that, you have what we call the brigade opens, which is the box off between the cadets to see who's going to represent the academy at the national championships and the regionals.
Now I'm sure you've had, I mean, endless amounts of fond memories of that particular time, you know, West Point and boxing. But can you share with us something that really stands out, or that you could look back and be like, wow, we did that while you were there at West Point?
I would have to say that run of 4 straight national championships. It was just
Wow.
It was just, I don't know, just it's hard to describe it. Seeing the look on those kids' faces, winning it. And I was actually supposed to retire in 2010 from West Point, but there were 4 guys that had came on the team that had got there about the same time I did.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got ready to retire, it was like, well, coach, you started this run with us. You got to stay one more year and finish with us. So I moved my family to Texas and I pulled my retirement packet and I stayed one more year. And after that year, once we won that 4th national championship, then the next class was like, well, coach, you got to stay one more year. I'm like, nah, dude, man, yeah, that year, that 4 run of national championships, that was a special time.
So anytime, Derek, anytime we have discussions of the GOAT, like Tom Brady with his 7 rings and Jordan with his 6 rings, we got Coach Mays with his 4 years straight national run. That's amazing, bro. That's amazing, Coach.
That's now, my guy, man.
Did anybody, real quick, I'm sorry, but did anybody out of those 4 years any names that we would recognize?
No, all of them went on to, because once they graduate, they have to go into the service and be officers.
Okay.
One kid, Escobar, he went out for the Olympic trials, and he lost a close fight. I thought that kid was special, that he could have did something, but after that, he just said, "Nah, it just left a bad taste in his mouth for boxing."
Jeff, how do you explain? You and I share a common affinity for women's boxing, man, and I know what my attraction is to the girls fighting. What would you say is your catalyst? What makes you? I mean, I don't know if you see a difference or not, but I know you're a big proponent of the girls. What is that you think that draws you to the girl side of fighting?
Well,
or is it just?
lot of the guys gonna hate me for it, but from my experience on training them, they work harder, they learn easier, and it's just they're gonna give you everything they got. And that's overall. Not every one of them is like that, but that's overall. But with the guys, it's sometimes hit or miss. You get that special guy that's gonna give you everything, and they're gonna take it all the way. But with the girls, overall, that's what I've seen since I've been training girls.
What part? I agree totally. Totally agree with that.
They got less distractions.
Okay, and what part of that? What part of underappreciated women's boxing play, or does it?
Oh man,
for you?
it's so underappreciated, dude. It's so underappreciated. I get
It's
so
bananas.
frustrated. Yeah, I get so frustrated with it. I'm a father of 4 girls and 2 boys, but so I look at it from I look at it from that aspect when I'm training. They're my kids. So
Right.
it's just it's totally lopsided. I don't think women should be doing the 2-minute rounds. I think they should get the same pay that the guys get. I mean, it's totally lopsided, dude.
And you're talking about a trainer of your ilk. Me, how long I've been doing it, and the levels I've done it at, man. And if guys like you and I can look and appreciate the women fighting, it's to me, it's like the world just hasn't catched up. Like all the naysayers saying, man, because you see a lot of, not that I pay attention, but even journalists, right? All the women, it's women shouldn't be, but that kind of, and then like,
Yes,
dude, you're not seeing what's going on for real.
There are a lot of old heads that still, at the top of the food chain in the boxing community that see it as the same way you just said, where women shouldn't be boxing, they should be in the kitchen doing this. No,
Wow.
They should be afforded the same opportunity that everybody else, that the males get. Not, nobody wants to see their daughter fight. Shit, I wish one of my daughters would have boxed.
Let me go out on a limb here, man, because I've been thinking about this here recently, right? It's so fun. The two, and listen, I don't want to get off into the pay scale and all that shit, because there's a bunch of different ways that I look at that, but it's so funny. Like, you got those stay in the kitchen type motherfuckers that don't really matter, except that they're in a position. And we just need them, like with most things, we need them motherfuckers to die off and get out the way. But
Wait them out.
Right. But it's like they want the gals to be a certain way, right? It's like you don't want to give them no shine. And then also demand how they act, how they should act, and how they should promote themselves and shit. And I'm gonna tell you, man, people have a problem with the way Clarissa talks, and I'm like, keep talking. You need to keep talking. You need to keep fucking talking that shit, because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now, there's certain ways she can go about shit, but she's still her own woman, and her accomplishments are her accomplishments, and keep on fucking talking. Because every time, motherfucker, what does it matter? A person says, how dare her? How dare she call herself the GOAT and all that? But then in the back, the underhanded comment is she shouldn't act like that. She shouldn't talk like that. But yet she can't say this. And those parameters they putting on her, the girls ain't even getting enough fucking shine for you to even demand they act a certain way. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost.
The way I see it, how many other 2-time Olympic gold medalists that we have in boxing?
Right.
Ever from the United States, huh?
Yep. How many do we have from the United States?
Yeah.
Give her props.
What did Coach say? She kicked everyone's ass in the world twice.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Listen, and I'm a super fan of Clarissa, of course, but there's a bunch of girls I'm a super fan of, right? And as they moving up, as they making their mark, as they, I'm gonna keep on promoting, because I promote. You know why, Coach? It ain't I'm trying to be no defender of women. That ain't my thing. That ain't my thing at all. You know what my thing is? I'm a defender of boxing. Yep. So if this woman is a successful pugilist, she needs to be taught. She needs to be promoted. She needs to, because this
But not,
it's multi-millionaires don't make it out this game with $1, let alone somebody who deserves the opportunity to be a millionaire that she don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
but not only that, the work that goes into it, the training, the sacrifice, the time, the
It's
effort
not easy.
at
Well, because
all.
they women, you think it's easy?
Right,
Fuck no, man.
right.
Yep.
So I want to touch on something very controversial, and we'll try to keep
I
it.
don't do controversy, bro. I don't do controversy.
We'll
Skip
try
that.
to keep it as safe as possible. But there's no secret, right? With some of the changes that have been going on with the transgenders and them being involved in women's boxing. And I'm only asking and bringing this up because you're involved with USA Boxing. Is that an issue that the USA Boxing has addressed or talked about? And if so, what's their position with women's boxing in regards to that particular issue?
There's transgender people competing in boxing at the amateur level.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I've never seen one.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither.
And I think
That's
USA Boxing,
a good question, though.
Well, because
USA Boxing has a policy against it.
okay, I was making because it's already we had it's a topic with MMA, right? And so it's 1 degree away from it being an issue that we need to discuss when it comes to boxing. So if it's happening in the MMA, I'm just kind of curious as, hey, is there a policy in place? And as you have answered, they do, and they are against it. In my opinion, I think that's the correct policy.
This is, like you say, is a controversial subject, but and I don't know, I'm real ignorant to any trans, I don't know nothing about the issue, right? I know as a manager or a trainer, if they wanted my girl to fight a person born a man, I don't think it would be a problem with me.
I'm not
at all.
Here's why.
Right. And it's not because you don't believe in the fighter. It's just we're not doing it.
Here's the thing. Here's my thinking. And if we have transgender fans, come on and tell me what y'all think. I don't give a shit. I believe, prior to Clarissa Shields, I believe the greatest woman I ever seen box display, and it's the eye test, is not accomplishments, because women's boxing was such a niche thing at the time, so she didn't really get the fight she needed. But the greatest woman prior to her I ever seen was this woman named Lucia Riker, right? And she was out of Sweden, I think, or she was Danish or something. But she came from the kickboxing community, okay? Martial artist, and then she went over to boxing. And she became a boxing champion. I couldn't list her accolades or nothing, but to my eyes, I was like, man, this woman is bad. And you could find the fight. She did a kickboxing fight with a man. This is how cold she was, right? She kickboxed with a man. And I couldn't get it all wrong as far as rounds and all that shit. But she basically was kicking this man's ass for 4-5 rounds till he landed the right punch and it was over with. And I was like, see, if we won't allow athletes with an unnatural advantage, listen, I'm not here to pretend.
I'll be right back.
Go ahead. I'm not here to pretend men and women are the same. Men can do things women can't, just like women can do things men can't. It's not, I can't go do a bunch of shit a woman could do.
You can't go give birth.
I can't give birth, right? So here's the thing. It's like these two, if all things are natural, right? What makes you a male? Why was you born male instead of female? Because your uh what's the word I'm like testosterone and shit is at a higher level, right? So we're gonna pretend that testosterone levels don't make a difference.
100%.
That's why fighters shoot their ass full of testosterone when they can get away with it, you know? So I'm not gonna put my woman fighter in there with a man or used to be a man or whatever the classification is. If that woman, if the woman wasn't born a woman, you're not fighting my woman. That's just how I look at it. And I would have a problem with that. And that's not me telling a trans person they not whatever they feel they are. Right. You could be whatever the fuck you want to be, man. This is America, man. I'm not going to sit here and I don't want you to limit me, so I'm not going to limit you. But in this game here, where you get your brain shook, I'm not going to take a chance on a person born more testosterone, born a man. And who knows? I don't know the ins and outs of the transgender thing. I don't know if they're equaling out their genetics with shots and shit. I don't know. I don't know none of that. So rather than me knowing, I'm gonna just stay away from it. And you just ain't gonna fight my girl. And it seems like this is a big thing in the country with this transgender stuff, right? So have a transgender league if y'all want to fight, man. Go fight each other like that. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
And again, it's a very controversial subject, and it's something that we have to be careful with what we say, especially in this day and age. But I want to say this, and I hope it doesn't, it's not misunderstood, and I'm glad it's on video versus being typed. But I think, and again, forgive my ignorance, but if a transgender wants to compete, there's absolutely nothing wrong. First of all, you're right. We don't judge no one. But in my opinion, I would feel it more of a notch on my belt as a transgender to beat other men than switch over to a female league or a female. Am I making sense? In other words, as a transgender,
that's way over my pay grade. Yeah, bro. I'm getting into areas I wouldn't see. I don't pretend to know shit that I don't know. And here's what I mean. I'm not saying you doing that. I'm saying me. Yeah. I'm saying like I'm an American, right? And what makes me an American? I'm from a country based on the Constitution, right? Now. It's a whole lot of gang of motherfuckers claim to believe their Constitution, but they really don't. Because that Constitution says every motherfucker, man. And I add a motherfucker so you ignorant people could hear me. That's why I do that. Every motherfucker knows it says as long as you're not violating other people's rights, you have the right to pursue whatever. Right? As long as you follow the laws of the land. So I don't get all of it. Listen, Jeff, when they say all this here, transgenders and all this gay stuff and all this old type of stuff, why are you so fucking mad? Because you got to explain to your children that this shit exists?
There's a lot of people that's upset about it, but it just, as long as you're living your life, you're not bothering, you're not hindering nobody else, you're not bothering nobody else. Let people live their life.
Yeah. I don't want to run around with a pro-gay flag to say I'm not anti-gay. Hell, I'm not pro-gay. I'm just leave me the fuck alone, and I'm gonna leave you alone.
I'm pro-equal rights.
That's what I'm trying to say. And so
we want to make it very clear. We want to make it very clear to the viewers that that's what we are. We are live your life. We're not going to judge you. We don't care.
Listen, and that's Manny Fresh told me one time. He said, "Listen, Coach." He said, "Some of my best friends are gay. I don't want to." Nah, I'm picking. Listen. But athletically, we talking about putting a man in there with a woman, and nah. I'm not gonna do it. And the way we know that people fool with their chemistry, right? Shooting up testosterone, or I don't know, which one's which. I'm not a steroid guy or anything, but that chemistry, you start fucking with that chemistry, man. I always think back when what's our girl from Baltimore who lost her title to the Mexican girl who
Oh,
who was who failed her tests. I can say it
yeah.
because she failed. She got popped on testosterone. Once you fucking up with them with your chemistry, dude, you're no longer. It's not equal. You're not fair. It's not fair now. So I'm not gonna play that game, bro. With if I have a woman fighter, hey, give me another woman. Let's make all things equal. You know what I'm saying? That's where I start and stop at that shit with me.
Coach, how we doing with time? I know you are we good? We still got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, we're still good.
Okay, cool, good. All right, well let's move on from that before we get in trouble talking about that shit. What's
terrible? What the word?
What
I can't even watch the Dukes because of the paint job on the fucking car no more, man. Who the fuck? I don't remember Bo Duke calling anybody anything, man. I don't remember that. It's not good. That's just crazy, man. What you gonna do with where we at with Raven, Jeff? What she's doing?
Oh well, we're gonna drop her down a couple of weight classes and take her to nationals in March, and then see where we're gonna go from there.
We absolutely loved her story, man. When she came on and just shared her boxing story.
Yeah, she's
How's
a great girl and great athlete.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How's things at the home front, man? I know you're over there at that at the Davis gym over there, man. And I still haven't been, but I'm coming, bro. Yeah, just gotta find when you there.
That's like a world-class facility over there, dude. I mean, the atmosphere is great. I got about 15 boxers that I actually train over there. They got an amateur side, they got a pro side, and it's an amazing facility, dude.
It looks like it, man. It looks first class all the way from the videos and the pictures and stuff I see. Yeah. Is the pro side? I know the Davis Entertainment. Is that guy a pro manager? What is it? What is that? It's a management.
He's a pro manager, and he's trying to dabble in the promotion part, trying to put on shows in San Antonio. It's just this pandemic just messed everything. He probably would be so much further ahead, if this pandemic wouldn't have happened. But he's still taking it all in stride and he's still pushing.
Good, man. I promise you, I'm gonna come out there, man. When you in and bring my boys for the weekend. Hopefully we can line up, whatever sparring we can get the pros and my amateurs too.
Yeah, that's the hard part when I get in.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It ain't like you just home all the time, man.
I get back on the 7th of March, and then I think on the 24th of March, I'm taking about 8 boxers to the national championships. I'll be up there for 10 days. And then I fly straight from Shreveport to Chula Vista, California, back into like another almost 2 months training camp before we go to the Continental Qualifier.
It's a lot of work, man.
Right, and that's the hard part. If I didn't have my own boxers back in San Antonio, it wouldn't be that hard because my time at home would be, downtime. But it's harder.
Go ahead.
Yep. I just say it's harder because I do have my own boxers, and that's something I'm not willing to give up because some of them kids, like I got one girl, Yamila, I've been training her since she was 9 and she's 16 now. So she's really just like my little daughter. So, it's just, I can't walk away from those kids that have given me their blood, sweat, and tears for all these years. So it's just, I don't know, you have to love what you do.
Right. It ain't much because it doesn't, you don't get much for it other than the satisfaction of molding these kids and these young people to it's the miracles that happen in a boxing gym, right? Yeah. Is insane, man, with these kids, man. Sometimes these kids just need some confidence, man, and a lot of times, the kid might don't go past punching the bag and working out, and you help them be a better person. So, and that's why you find, it ain't very many trainers, that if they're bad, it shows anyway, right?
Yeah.
The good guys, man, the success comes with putting out people who are better people, regardless of what they accomplish in the ring.
I've been training. I think I stopped boxing in '93, and I started coaching off and on, and started doing it full time in 2006. So I don't know. I think I've literally trained over 1,000 or so boxers, probably
Wow.
way more than that. But and I still stay in some form of contact with about 80% of them.
If you
Hey,
can go back,
remember
if you go ahead.
Jeff stroke is so broad. When we first started talking and becoming friends and shit, the guy who was over the warehouse I was running my route out of, we started talking. He said, "Yeah, man, I used to box, man. My trainer is Jeff Mays out of San Antonio." I said, "Ain't this a bitch?" And I called. Remember that? I said, "Jeff, man, I know this youngster." Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you got the man. I can't do I don't see how I don't knock it because the people who do it and they successful, it amazes me, And so when I sit back and go, Derek, if you had to put out train groups of people like what y'all do at the USA Boxing, the Olympic Training Center, man, could you do it? And I'm like, man, you would have to have a fucking squad of trainers. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't imagine, man. I can't imagine having 30. I can't imagine having 20 competitive boxers that's competing constantly. Regardless of pros and amateurs and shit, man, I'm like, man, I just don't, my mind don't work that way, man. But I don't say it can't be done because clearly it's done all the time, right? And I'm like, man, how them guys figured that shit out? I'll never know. I don't know how they do it.
Between Quentin Randall and the ABO champion Robert Redmond and myself, fuck, we keep Derek's fucking head spinning. He can't keep up with us. He can't keep up with us three.
Since I started with the team in 2017, at first it was really, really hard until I got a system down of how I was going to do stuff because it got frustrating with me because, I would have my boxers calling, texting, and consistently since 2017, since I've been with the team, I spent a lot of time gone. And at first it was just me by myself. So I would have one of the parents keeping time. I would write out my training plan, have one of the parents go to the gym. And here's what he wants you to do. They would record it, send it to me. Hey, look, that one need to keep your hand up. This one, they leaving their back feet behind. She would end up giving them notes. I would text them notes. The sparring, I would end up having them record it, send it to me. Hey, look, you're backing up, you're staying on the ropes too much. So a lot of times when I'm gone and we was at a tournament, I would spend most of my nights looking at video of my own boxers, making notes, or looking at training from my own boxers, making notes and sending them out. Hey, look, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to fix. And I've consistently had boxers ranked nationally. I think right now, out of 15 boxers, I got 6 or 7 that's nationally ranked. And it's been hard. And I got 2 other guys now. I had to recruit one of my guys that I used to actually train as a boxer. He came back and he started helping me coach. And I got another guy, I trained his son. So I've been going over different coaching philosophies, trying to teach him how to be a coach, so he can find his sea legs. So it's gotten better, but it used to be just very, very frustrating at first, and then when a boxer go to a fight, if they lose, well, I wouldn't have lost if you would have been here, I ain't been training right. So, I just take it with a grain of salt, well, it is what it is. I've even lost a lot of boxers. Well, you're not here, so I wanted to train with you, but you're not here, and I need that attention.
Right.
Well, if you want me, it's a package deal. This is what you get.
Right. It's a hell of a, I can't imagine, bro. Go ahead, Fred.
What would you go back if you had the opportunity, and the Jeff Mays that woke up this morning had an opportunity to go back, and I think I think I heard 2006. What would you go back and tell Coach Mays back in 2006 about training and coaching in the next 10 years?
Let's see.
What advice would you give yourself?
That it's a process and have fun. Because one of the things that I messed up when I started coaching at West Point, and I didn't realize it till I got to West Point. Like I said, I coached off and on since '93. But one of the things that I didn't realize is once I got to West Point was boxing is a process. When I first got there, I got this fire, I got this desire. I want to teach these kids everything that I know. So I'm trying to, brand new novice boxers, I'm trying to dump 109 amateur fights worth of information into them all at once. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't throw a 5-punch combination? I can do it. Let me show you. So I wasn't understanding that boxing is a process. You got to crawl, walk, then run. So after we end up going to the first national championship in 2007, after I was there, I always take my boxers' losses as my own. I own my boxers' losses. Because if the boxer knew what to do, shit, they wouldn't need a coach or a trainer. So every time one of my boxers lose, I always look at myself hard and say, what could I have done to get them to win this fight? I mean, what, all the way back from the training, all the way back to the corner work, or what I told them in the corner. Did I make my adjustments in the corner? Or sometimes you don't need to make adjustments. Sometimes it could be just a motivational speech you got to give them in the corner. Hey, what the fuck are you doing, shithead? You're losing this fight. I'm gonna fucking put my foot up your ass if you don't go out there and kick this dude. Sometimes that's all a boxer needs. So it's just, those are some of the things I have learned over the years. But, when I first started, I was just, and how I want to say, I own it that I caused a lot of kids to lose because I'm trying to give them 109 fights worth of information all at one time. And, most boxers, they just going to say, okay, coach. Okay. They're going to try it, but they're not going to be able to do it. So
even if they don't understand, they're going to try it. Right.
They're going to try it. So once I figured out that boxing is a process and I need to just let the process develop and take the, crawl, walk, run aspect to it, it became a lot better.
Well, that's some hell of advice right there, and I think that's pretty consistent with what most successful fighters and coaches say. But yet, it's a very hard lesson to apply.
Hard, especially with most
it's patience, man.
Yep. Yeah. Especially with most former boxers that are coaches, that's one of the hardest lessons that we have to learn is that we could do it. Why you can't do it? Well, you didn't start out doing it that way. You didn't start out doing it that well. So take your time with the kids.
One of the biggest mistake I see in coaches is that I recognize, right? Is I could be watching a guy for the last 10 years, right? And I'm looking at them and they chase athletes, man. And that shit is like, then you don't understand, man. You chasing the athlete thinking athleticism is gonna make him successful. Where there's fighters that absolutely has happened, and because they're not scientists regardless, and they still make it to the elite levels at professional and amateur. But to watch a coach do that repeatedly, I'm like, man, you ain't even training yourself. You need to train yourself to go, let me quit chasing this fucking athlete, man. It is, and I always liken it back to my one of my millions of quotes I always say. Tommy Hearns walks into the Catskills, man, he gets told to go play basketball, he can't fight. Right? And you look at these coaches, and that's what they do. They're all chasing some athlete thinking that's gonna make them a successful coach. And it's also a hallmark for trainers who have like one fight and that's it. And you're looking for what else they're doing. It's leaps and bounds between, say, a fucking Manuel Stewart and not, I ain't gonna name nobody else, but just one. You know what I'm saying? It's leaps and bounds between that shit. That he went to this guy and figured out, I need to here you go, Jeff. I know a little bit about training through the phone and shit now because the next member of my family is starting to fight, right? He just got in the gym. He's done with football in high school. So he's venturing off into the boxing. He's still at home. But every day or two, I'm on the phone looking at videos, because I am the trainer of all the boys, right? I'm the guy who had the knack for the coaching. And so I'm sitting there going, I said, man, listen, man, you can't fucking throw that punch straight enough. You can't do it enough times. And worrying about what's next, you don't got the first thing. Don't worry about what's next. Because the adjustments it's going to take for you to win a 3-round amateur bout is going to be so minute.
Yep.
But if you can't do it, you lose. That's it. So watching these guys chase athletes, I think one thing I understood from the ground up, coming from a family with a history of boxing, is if the best athlete wins, well, then boxing ain't really it ain't technical, right? It's a foot race, but that ain't true. You know what I'm saying? That's how the guy who beats the better athlete all the time.
Yep.
Who the fuck would Bernard Hopkins beat if it was a fucking athlete thing, right? He outboxed you. That's what he was doing. And so watching these trainers do that shit over and over and over and over, and I'm like, man, you keep chasing these fucking athletes, man. That's your fucking problem, man. What's your philosophy? I told my cousin, I said, cuz, first thing I do when I talk to a coach is, because I want to know, I told him I was going to have, so I'm having my partner on the podcast, and I want to hear all the shit because I value the opinion, and I know I'm going to learn something. I can't learn shit from a coach who chases athletes. You don't even got a philosophy. You don't even got a philosophy of what boxing is. You know what I'm saying? And that, I think if a trainer learns that at whatever year 1 or year 5 or year 10, it's going to determine the success you'll have as a trainer. That's my opinion. Anyway.
Oh, it's true. Well, Coach Mays, man, we appreciate you spending the morning with us. Give the viewers what they can look forward to from USA Boxing. What kind of schedule do they got coming up? I know you're going to Bulgaria. Where can they watch the fights? How can they follow the fighters? And where can they follow you at?
Well, USA Boxing will have a live stream link put up right before the tournament start to let everybody know where they can watch it. Usually, I normally post stuff on my social media, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I'm at Mays Boxing on Instagram. That would be the best place to follow me at. But we got Bulgaria, Spain, time off. Then I'll be at the Nationals. Then we got the camp out in Chula Vista in Argentina. Then we got a couple of weeks off, and we come back for another training camp. So it's from now until the Olympics, it's going to be crazy.
Wow. That's work. That's some
Coach,
work.
let's do a I want to do a new segment. Let's freestyle right fast.
All right, go ahead.
We're gonna do underrated, overrated word association. I'm gonna just throw some fighters out there. You tell me. You ready?
Yeah.
Sean Porter.
For his style of boxing, underrated.
Tyson Fury.
Underrated.
Canelo Alvarez.
Say it.
I won't say he's overrated because Canelo can box. But I won't say you can't say he's underrated because a lot of people like him, and he's accomplished a lot. So he's one of them ones you can't say he's overrated, can't say he's underrated. Because I seen him grow so much from his loss to Mayweather. He's a totally different fighter than he was. I was watching him before that. He's a totally different
he's
fighter after that fight.
He's right where he should be.
He's right where he should be. Yep.
Bud Crawford.
I think he's right where he should be.
I think he's underrated.
Earl Spence.
Right where he should be.
Teofimo Lopez.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Clarissa Shields.
Way underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Way
I like. You got some names you want to throw in there, Fresh?
Nah, you covered them. Them are good right there. That was a great lineup.
Top 3 pound for pound male boxers.
That's what I'm gonna stay away from.
I'm gonna go. Canelo, Earl Spence, and Tyson Fury.
I'm gonna go with Crawford, Canelo, and Fury. I got Crawford number 1.
Hey, Coach, we're gonna do another one of these, man. We ain't gonna wait so long next time.
All right.
They gave Derek extra time with hair and makeup. Don't worry about
it. He waited to season 4 to make sure this thing stick. He didn't want to see if we was just gonna shake out after 10 episodes. That's what it was. Appreciate you, brother, as always.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me, brother.
Oh, thank you again. Once again, Facebook, YouTube, thank you for all the support. Please make sure to continue to like and subscribe. We've almost reached our goal of 1,000 followers on YouTube. We're almost there. Help us get over the hump. Share, like, subscribe. I got a long walk home in this cold weather. So we'll see y'all next week.
I'm out.
All right. Y'all take care.
You too.
Thank you. Brother.